Hello, Tom. I would do you. I'm Darcy's even more desperate friend. Want to see my boobs? Oh, hello, schöne Leute. Thank you for tuning into my channel. Today I'll be discussing the TLC series 90 Day Fiance the Other Way, Season 3, Episode 2, titled Pack Your Bags. I have my own little title for it as well, called Last Rites. Anyway, so we start off with Avery, the 19-year-old who is engaged to Omar from Syria. And in this, we kick off with her meeting with her friends at the gym, and they're basically doing their little routine that I guess they used to do when Avery was an all-American girl involved in everything. And her friends are, she's having a discussion and explaining more to her friends about her relationship, which would make sense, yeah, with her plans. She's not really telling her mom much, and she's planning on going off for good to live in Syria. And it makes sense that she should be discussing what's happening with her friends, because if anything, she's going to need somebody back home to reach out to and, if anything, ask for some serious help. Anyways, so Avery is talking about the fact that she wants to put all her past behind, and now she wants a clean slate, and since she's become a Muslim, all of the things that she's been doing before are behind her now. And he won't be looking at the past, at least she hopes that he'll just be counting what she's been doing since she became a Muslim woman. And her aim is to become the perfect Muslim wife, per se. Perfect Muslim woman, perfect Muslim wife. That's a tall order. And she's spoken about the fact that he's complained about the fact that she's not as modest as, and her friends have told her that she has changed a lot. She's already quite modest in their eyes, and she's definitely not living the kind of lifestyle that she used to. Yeah. In fact, one of her friends hinted at the fact that she had a very wild past. Yeah. We can only assume what that wildness is, but based on what I took from it, she's basically saying that she was a big old you-know-what. Anyways, so Avery wants to leave all this behind. In fact, Avery is very willing to leave everything behind in the States, yeah? She wants to leave her past behind and her family behind and everyone behind so quickly. Next scene, Avery is at home. She's packing, and her mom calls her in her room because on the bed displayed is her mom's wedding dress that she wore when she was a bride. And her mom is saying that, she would like to start a tradition. And the tradition is that her daughter would wear her wedding dress for her wedding. And, mom is starting to get on my nerve a little bit because of her pretend ignorance. Because she's going to pretend that, seeing the way her daughter dresses all this time, that she thinks that she can wear a traditional Western wedding gown, yeah? When her daughter is obviously pursuing the Islamic faith and wants to be a perfect Muslim woman. So Avery basically, shouted at her mom like, I can't wear this dress, yeah? It's showing my arms, it's showing boobs, it's showing cleavage, yeah? Back, everything, too much arm. And her mom is like, so what are you supposed to be wearing, yeah? The ignorance. What are you supposed to be wearing? A sheet? Yes, mommy, something like that. Something that's going to be completely covering her for her wedding. That's the tradition there. Yeah? A full burqa, or, yeah, I think I have it right. But she's going to be wearing a fully covered outfit for her most traditional Muslim wedding in Lebanon. Yeah? So, yeah, her mom was being a bit annoying, and, by the way, stick up in, mom looked really beautiful as a bride, yeah? The picture that she showed, she was a beautiful bride, And she's still a beautiful woman, yeah. She looks almost, she and Avery could be sisters as far as I'm concerned. And I think that's pretty good for a woman who has had 4 children, I think it is. Yeah. So regardless, they're packing, and the next scene we get to, they're at they've finished packing. The brother has helped her to pack. He's still telling us how ridiculous he thinks his sister is, and that she's not really thinking. And I must say, the teenagers in this, last time I said that teenagers are very impulsive, and sometimes, when they decide to do something and it's silly, they do it anyways. But I must say that, not all teens are dumb teens or naive teens, which was the exact word I used. Because her brother is one teen that has his head on properly, screwed on properly. And so the grandma is at the house. She's going to be taking them to the airport, and grandma starts crying because even though they'll be gone for a week, or at least that's the idea. Mom is planning on going for a week. Everybody thinks that Avery's going to Lebanon for a week, and possibly will be getting married, but she'll be going for a week and be returning to the States. So grandma is crying that her daughter and her granddaughter are leaving for a foreign country, and she's a bit worried. So she takes them to the airport, and at the checkout point, Avery suddenly realizes she doesn't have her phone. And, she's like, where's my phone? She's searching all over in the bag that she has. And her mom says, I'm going to call you. She calls her, nothing. So she starts panicking. She's like, call grandma. They call grandma, and she's on the way home. Can you please return? Because, we think that the phone is left in the car. So the grandmother returns to the airport. They're searching the car. Nothing. So at this point, Avery is like, I don't have my phone. And her mom is like, yes, and you do need your phone. Yeah? So her mom tries her last-ditch effort to change her mind. And she says, we're not going anywhere without your phone. So at this point, Avery says to the camera, if my mom tries to anything or tries to make me not go, I will never forgive her. Yeah? And we all know that chances are, that's not going to happen, because she will be going anyways, and her mom will definitely be following. So Avery says, a phone is not important. I'm going anyways. The phone is not important. It can stay. That's basically that part for Avery's story. The next person we come upon is Angela. Yeah, Angela. Angela is quite an interesting character that I actually like. She kind of reminds me of Caribbean auntie. Yeah, in the sense that she has this very, very big energy. She's like this person who loves to enjoy life. She has a very hearty laugh, and also maybe because she's kind of a bigger woman, she just has this very hearty, auntie like vibe. Where I'm enjoying life. Everything, when she finds something funny, she laughs very heartily, and I kind of find it endearing. But we'll go on to the rest of Angela's story. Apart from that, she's quite a big personality, and I'm not just saying that, I mean that completely figuratively. She's a very big personality. And Angela is with her friend in her car, and they're going to a wedding venue, yeah, in the country. And the wedding coordinator or the planner or the person in charge of the venue, this guy, he kind of had like some kind of, I wish I could do it, like he looked like he was on something, or he was just finished drinking a bottle of something, and he was, kind of like, at some point when the camera panned in on him, I was getting that expression. Anyways, so Angela is telling him, that she has a wedding coming up. She wants to have her wedding there. She's still going through the K1 visa process to get Michael into the U.S. but she's planning on marrying him anyways, and she would like to start making wedding plans, and she wants to have an idea of how that will fit it, the venue will fit into her plans. So the guy, is asking her, what do you have in mind? And she says, well, I would like to have a regular wedding mixed in with an African wedding. I want to have an African theme. And, I think Angela by now should be more specific when she says African theme, because Africa is a pretty, it's a continent, and you have many different cultures in Africa. And she should have been more specific and said a Nigerian wedding. I don't think that would have made a difference, because I think this guy doesn't know anything about anything. So she's telling him that she would like to start off leading into the pathway to the venue with an African theme, and then after, have things set up and have a big screen showing their love story. And the guy is, basically saying, okay, yeah, these are the challenges. And, he's asking her, what is your budget really? Or more like he's telling, she's asking, what is this going to cost? And he's giving her a budget. And I think he said something like $4,000 something dollars. And, Angela is like, whoa, whoa. And he's looking at her crazy like, okay, well, you want this, you want that, it's gonna cost quite a bit. And so the friend asked him for some time for them to discuss, going forward. And, to check back in. So the camera goes to him, and he's saying that, well, she has all these grand ideas, and, she needs to know that it's gonna cost. She wants, his exact words were, she wants a champagne and caviar. She wants, champagne and caviar on a malt and liquor budget. That was kind of, funny. But yes, Angela is, she's saying that, this is quite an investment for her. And Michael should appreciate what she's doing, because, at this point, their relationship is, they're good now, but it's been shaky in the past. And of course, before we got a clip of, the situation before in season 2, where they were having issues. And her biggest issue was that he's on Instagram and he's talking to other women. And also the fact that he's calling her his elder, which, pardon me, Angela, you are his elder. And you should just, this is something that you should just claim, yeah? You are an older woman, and there are a lot of attributes to being an older woman, yeah? And I think she should embrace it, just like the other person that we'll be talking about soon. But yes, it's something she should embrace. She knows that she's an older woman. She's, 20-something years older than Michael, and she decided that, anyway, she will pursue a relationship with him. It's the reality. So just claim it, Angela. Be the confident woman that I know that you can be, the big personality that I know you can be, and claim it. And so the next scene is Angela basically meeting with her daughter next. And, they're talking, and she's telling her daughter that, she's still having some problems with Michael as it relates to Instagram. And she showed her a picture of this woman's body that was barely covered. And she was saying that, if he wanted to look at a big fat ass, I have one here, yeah? He can look at mine. There's no need for him to be viewing other people's image and making friends with other women and liking pictures. So, obviously there's a bit of, jealousy issue or, that Angela has with Michael, and rightly so, but he's young, and, Michael is trying to get to the US, and, yes, I do believe that Michael genuinely has some interest in Angela. Yeah, even though she's an older woman, he's 20, and, maybe at his age he should be dating other 20-year-olds, or, but I do think that Michael, like Angela, I think she's a likable personality, and especially for an African man, sometimes, I mean, she has some strange ways that, that happened last season. And but she's quite a personality, and she is the kind of woman that apparently he likes in terms of, you know, body type. But I just think Michael isn't quite sure. Well, maybe he has an idea by now. But you know, as it is with being 20, you are not sure where you want to be in the next couple of years. You know, you're still figuring yourself out, and he's dating a woman who has already figured herself out and knows what she wants and lived, and you know, that's a bit of their complication. But yeah, she's with her daughter and she's telling her that she's having these issues, but she hopes that, you know, she's going over soon. And you know, while she waits for his K1 visa to be completed, and yeah, she is just going to, you know, make sure that everything stays okay between them, because you know, sometimes they have disagreements, but he always knows how to calm her down. Yeah, we know how he calms her down. Anyways, so the daughter, she's like, I have something to tell you, and the daughter jokes around, and she's like, yeah, what? You're pregnant? And Angela's like, funny you should mention pregnant. Yeah, Michael and I want to have a baby, and basically we need either. And the daughter's like, okay. She's like, well, we basically need your eggs, or you know, the daughter's like, I'm not giving you my eggs, because if I give you my eggs, then it's my baby. If you mix my eggs with Michael's sperm, the baby is my baby. So I'm not interested in doing eggs. And the mom is like, well, I could carry it. And she's like, no. So the mom's like, okay, if I get an egg, would you carry the baby? And she's like, Mom, what are you asking? Because you were just telling me that you guys are still having some issues. And I'm convinced that Michael is coming here for the US visa. So why would you want to have a baby with somebody where you're not sure what's happening? And the mom says that, you know, things will be fine with them, you know. People change, and so Michael is gonna change when he comes to the States, miraculously. Anyway, so the daughter says, well, if you guys can figure things out, and you know, and you're ready by then, maybe I'll carry the baby. And that's a maybe. And the mom is like, oh, thank you for giving me that answer, you know. I appreciate it. And she's like, Mom, I said, maybe I'll carry the egg. So that's Angela's plan, to give Michael a baby, because she believes that as an African man, he wants to have children, and obviously she's not in a position to give him kids, but she wants to do it. She wants to do it anyway, because these days there are different ways you can still provide a man with a child. And so she wants to give him that, because she wants to give Michael what he needs in a relationship. The next person that we're going to be looking at is Tim. He is dating someone from Colombia, 25-year-old woman. And so his ex-fiance decides to host him a good luck or see you later party for his planned trip to Colombia. And we see him entering the house. There's a group of people. I'm guessing his friends, or friends of both of them. And as he gets there, his ex-fiance's daughter runs to him and is like, Daddy, yeah, what would you like to drink? What can I get for you? And Veronica, you know, is basically like, it's okay. I've gotten something for him. I know what he would like. And she got him his drink and basically a plate or something. And right away, everybody starts attacking him. So, tell us about this woman that's in another country that you're going to visit for the first time, and that you've met online. And so he's telling them a bit about her, and I think somebody asked to see a picture of her, or he offered, and he took out his phone and started showing some pictures of Jennifer, which is like a hot Colombian hottie. And everybody's you could hear them exclaiming, "Wow, okay." I don't remember if anybody specifically said beautiful, but they were like, "Wow," because obviously she's a good-looking woman, and everybody sees that. And of course, Veronica was obviously kind of feeling a way about it. So they started asking other questions. What does she do? And he mentioned something like she's a student, she has a child, and Veronica starts making jokes, and the friends are making some jokes as well. And he's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't talk about who could be my future wife, future fiance, like that. I can just hear the jealousy. And Veronica's like, no, I'm not jealous. Yeah, but it's pretty obvious that you are jealous that you guys are hosting. And she basically wants me to send her pictures you know to see how it's going. Basically, she wants to check up on me to see what we're up to. So of course, Veronica, she is getting on my nerves as well, yeah, because she's just like too much. She sits in his lap and she's like, okay, let's take a picture and send to her, yeah. Let's send her a picture, and he's like, I don't think it's a good idea. And guys, let me tell you, Tim is such a punk, yeah. I'm gonna be repeating the word punk for the rest of me talking about him. He's such a punk. He's like, I don't think it's a good idea to send her a picture of us like this. And Veronica is like, why not? Why shouldn't you send her a picture of us? This is basically who we are. This is what we are. This is our relationship. Why would you not want to show her this? Why would you want to hide it? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay, fine. So they took the picture of her snuggled up to him in his lap and sent it to Jennifer. And of course, her reply was basically, or something like that, yeah? And I can understand, because if I'm dating a guy and his ex is in his lap, sitting down in his lap like that, yeah? After you've told me that you still have a relationship with your ex because maybe, there's a child or her child and you are like a father figure, yeah? Already the whole situation with Veronica is very sketchy, yeah? Because she's just too much. And she's sitting in his lap, and you're going to be sending me a picture like a damn Cluffy with her sitting in your lap, very comfortable. After I have some issues, yeah, and you're supposed to be proving to me that you can be trusted, and that okay, you guys are not together and all of that. So he sends a picture, and obviously she's not pleased about it. So then next scene, we see Veronica coming to him, because he, coming to him, and she's like, "What's up? Why do you look like that?" And he's like, you know, obviously Jennifer is upset about the picture I sent, and it wasn't a good idea. Well, if you knew it was, sorry guys, if you knew it wasn't a good idea, why did you send it? So why did you send it? Yeah, because you're a damn fool, a damn cluffy clown. So anyways, she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. He's like, and it was a good idea. I shouldn't have listened to you. Okay, but you did. So she's like, okay, I'm sorry, and basically as a peace offering, here's the engagement ring that you gave to me. It's I have a gift. This is the engagement ring you gave to me. And he's like, really? Wow. And she's like, you can as a gesture, she says you can give this to her as an engagement ring, because apparently it's a nice ring. And this guy is like, well, I got this ring for her. I'm not sure if it's, again, he's like, I'm not sure if it's a good idea, but he took the ring anyways. And I'm like, he keeps doing these stupid things, he doesn't think this is a good idea, but he does it anyways. If you don't think it's a good idea, it means it's not a good idea. Yeah. Why would you think of giving your new girlfriend a ring that you had given to an ex-girlfriend? Guys, that makes absolutely, he's just ridiculous, yeah? But I'm waiting to see if when he actually gets there, he's really going to give her that ring. Or maybe some sense we lick him in his head, and him, realize this really shouldn't be happening, yeah? And get her a proper ring. Anyways, so that's it with Tim. The next person, guys, the next couple I'm going to be The next couple is Rebecca. Rebecca is 47 years old, and she is dating or has been seeing a 26-year-old from Tunisia. As you'll see, guys, or you'll notice that I'm not doing the couples in the order of how they were shown on the TLC show, but in order of how interesting I think they are for the time being. Yeah, this is my order, and it will change next time based on the storyline and who I find to be the most in. So we start off with Rebecca going to a lingerie store with her daughter, and she's telling the store clerk that she's going to visit her boyfriend who she's been dating online, and she'll be meeting for the first time in Tunisia. And so she wants some, you know, sexy lingerie to take with her. And so at this point her daughter is like, so mom, you're going to a Muslim country, do you think that you should be buying lingerie to take with you? And you know, when her daughter said that, the first thing I started thinking is, well, it's not a problem if she's not planning on wearing it on the streets, yeah? But I get what she's saying. So her mom clears it up and tells her that Zayed is a more secular Muslim. He's not a very strict Muslim as others, and so yeah, he will appreciate. He'll like the fact that she wears nice, sexy underwears. So yeah, she goes in the dressing room and she tries on this nice, this lovely piece. I think it was a red lingerie set with a black lace dress covering it, or overall covering it, and but we could still get a peek of Rebecca's, you know, silhouette and everything. And you know, Rebecca is an attractive woman, and she has an attractive body, yeah. And so, and yes, at 47 years old as well, that's quite impressive, you know. Yeah, so basically she was getting a lot of compliments from the store clerk and her daughters, like, mom, you look so good. And she did look good. And then, you know, she's like, yeah, you know, she starts confessing that, you know, she's a bit nervous about the fact that, because the daughter is like, has he ever seen you? Has he ever seen your body? And she's like, yeah, he has. You know, we've basically been exchanging pictures, and he's seen a lot of things. But her concern is that the pictures that she's been sending has been heavily photoshopped, heavily you know, edited and everything. And so she's concerned that what she'll be presenting in person is not what he's been seeing by media. And so she went back into the dressing room, and you know, you could see that Rebecca, you know, I picked up that she's a very fragile person. She's so fragile, you know, and it's sad. I feel for her a bit, because you know, she's a beautiful, mature woman. Yeah, she's a good looking, mature woman. Beautiful is subjective, yeah, but she's an attractive is subjective. But I think she's a good looking woman, and a mature woman at that, who has had a lot of experiences. She has grown kids, yeah, and so you know, you would think that she would embrace that and be proud of it, and be proud of the fact that she's still an attractive woman, even though she could do a bit more with that hair of hers. But yes, so she's been all of the photos she's been sending Zayed are photos that are not reflective of her. I don't even think that those photos look like she did when she was 20. I'm sure at 20 she was you know, a gorgeous woman, but those photos, I don't think they reflect any part of how she ever looked, yeah. And I don't understand why a mature woman, who is supposed to be more comfortable, you're supposed to be more, you know, used to your skin and accepting accepting of yourself, why you would want to start off a relationship on that foot. And chances are that's how I have a strong feeling that her past relationship with her ex-husband from, I think it was Morocco, that ended badly when he came to the US, was as a result of the same thing. She wasn't presenting her true self in the beginning, and maybe she was doing the same thing, sending all these fake pictures, catfishing the guy, yeah. And so, I think it's really not necessarily. I think the best thing is when you're, in fact, this is how I see it. Show your normal self, yeah? Your normal face, your normal everything. I mean, you don't have to look your worst, but try and look as normal as possible, yeah? Don't even do the whole glam thing when you meet, when you're dating somebody at first. Just, let them see a lot of the normal you, because the fact is you can't get much worse from there, yeah? But you can always improve. You can, with makeup, with different clothes, you can always look bomb, yeah? She's basically been catfishing Zayed, and she's becoming very nervous as her flight, her flight is arriving. And she's basically breaking down in the dressing room, yeah? The next scene, we have her son taking her to the airport. And, he's asking, have you called him to tell him that you're on your way to the airport? And so she started trying to call him and message him, and he's not answering his phone. But she's seeing that apparently he has read the message and he's not responding, and she starts panicking, because she's like, I wonder if he's getting cold feet. I've been calling him, he's not answering, but yet I see that he's seen the messages and he's not responding at all. And so, she's going to the airport basically nervous as hell. And, she's breaking down in front of the camera and, telling us that, she's really nervous. She's really scared because she's done this before, and she's tired of having her heart broken or for failed relationships. And if this one doesn't work, if he turns out not to be as she thought, or just like her ex, she doesn't know what she will do. She basically, she sounded hopeless. She said, if he turns out not to be as I expected, I don't know if I can go on. And I'm, at this point, I'm like, wow, this is some heavy stuff. Yeah. And for her sake and her sanity and her kids, I hope it works out, because Rebecca strikes me as a very fragile person. And, she says she doesn't know what she'll do, but I know what she'll do. Anyways, the next scene, she has arrived in Tunisia. She's at the airport, and so she's there looking around. She's at her the baggage section, collecting her baggage, and she's very, very, very scared. And she's saying she can't wait to see him, because, I guess she wants to be in his arms. She wants him to alleviate the fears that she's having. And she's also nervous because she's not sure what to expect, and she knows he's not sure who he's looking for either, because the images, even though, guys, I'm thinking she's been sending a lot of fake pictures, so to speak, catfishing the guy, but they've been doing regular video chats. So even though she's probably done, a lot of she's done a lot of makeup tricks, and she has her special lighting and whatever other tricks she has when she's doing her video chats. At the end of the day, that's as close to her real her realness, or her real face, her real everything that he would see. And so, yes, while he has these photos of her, at the same time he probably has a realistic idea of what she looks like. So anyways, she's in Tunisia, and at the airport, and she's waiting for him. She's not sure, because I guess she still hasn't heard, she hasn't gotten a response from him to find out whether or not he's at the airport or what the situation is. So she's there waiting. And then at this point, we skip to to Tunisia. The next scene, we skip to Tunisia, where we see Zayed at home, in his room, and he's, you know, talk to the producers and or the producer, and telling them that, you know, yeah, he's excited. You know, he's happy he met Rebecca, and that he was showing pictures of her, the heavily photoshopped pictures of her, and I mean, they look good, but they don't really look like they don't look like Rebecca. So he's showing these pictures, and he's saying that every morning he wakes up, he looks at this and this other picture, you know, basically every day this is what he's looking at, because he's looking forward to meeting her. And so, and he loves her. Yeah, he's basically saying that he loves her face, and in one particular picture, her breast and her tattoos. And so he loves this woman, and he's looking forward to meeting her. Then he is around the table with his parents, and, you know, he's, you know, telling them that, okay, she's coming. And I think the mom asks how old she is, and he says 47. And mom is like, she had a baby in her hand, I guess maybe a grandchild. And he's like looking at him like, okay, so my son is a mother lover basically, because this woman is close to my age. And his dad is like, okay, so you guys are basically not going to be sleeping together, yeah? You're not going to be sharing the same room. And of course, at this point, I don't think Zayed responded. I didn't hear the response. But his dad was like looking at him intently, because his dad knows that at the end of the day, regardless of what he promised, he knows his son is going to be up to something, yeah. And they were discussing it to the camera, telling the camera guy that, you know, this is their culture, and they don't believe that unmarried couples should, or unmarried persons of the opposite sex should be sharing a room together, yeah, and doing anything. So then we see Zayed heading off. He said, you know, he's going to meet his friends, and so he goes to this I guess what do you call it, hookah bar, or where they kind of smoke that thing. I forgot the name, but you know, he has 3 friends there, and you know, he sat down, they're all meeting up, and he's saying that she's coming, and they're like, okay, how old is she again? And, you know, he tells them, and they're like, wow. And they, you know, the 2 of the friends came on camera, and they're like, well, she's much older than he is, and, you know, they don't really understand it, but hey, you know. And so they're asking him, you know, what do you find interesting about this woman, this older woman? You know, isn't she too old? And then, you know, one of them asks, let's see her. I'm pretty sure they've seen her before, but they're like, let's see her. He takes out his camera. He shows one of the Photoshop pictures, and then they're like, yeah, she's, you know, she's an attractive woman. She's quite attractive. And he agrees. Yes, that's my baby. Yeah. So at this point, we skip back to Rebecca in the airport, and she's looking around. She's close to the exit section, and she's looking out. You know, you see different groups of people in the arrival section, apparently waiting on their relatives or friends, whoever. And then the camera pans in on Zayed. He's standing there with this shirt on with Rebecca's face on it, except it's not Rebecca. It's, you know, it's Photoshopped Rebecca, looking quite sexy on his chest. And then, you know, she sees him and she's like, Zayed, and he's like, oh, okay. And she's like, oh. So they embrace, and she's like, you look so, you're so tall, you look so good. I think he says you smell good, or maybe it was her. And they're embracing, and she's so happy, yeah. And then they're walking, and then later on the camera has the 2 of them together, and she's like, you know, he is so good looking, you know, he's so handsome. He looks exactly like he does in his pictures, and he's tall. And when she said that, it's like, it was like comedy, because he's standing there and she doesn't look exactly like she does on his t-shirt. So then, they ask him what he thinks, and he's like, yeah, she's beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. Uh, yeah, beautiful. And then after, he's alone with the camera, and they're like asking what he thinks, and he's like, yeah, she looks good. I mean, she's beautiful. She's not, she looks different from what I thought, but I still, she's still beautiful. I mean, she is a beautiful woman in person. There is absolutely no need to over exaggerate, what you don't look like. So you could see that he's obviously still taking it in, and you could tell that he's a little bit disappointed, but he was trying his best not to be too awkward. She did call it awkward after, to not to be too awkward about the whole thing, and just to play it off well. And then he's like, this this part, he said, I made a surprise for Rebecca. Eh, I made the sheet with her face on it, the sheet, and yeah, even though obviously the person on the sheet is not. That was so funny. I made a sheet. At first I was like, what? You make a sheet? He made a sheet. I made a sheet. That was his exact words, guys. I made a sheet. Anyway, so he made this shirt with her face on it, and yeah. So they're walking out of the airport, or walking out of the departure, the arrival section. And she said to the camera, this is a bit awkward because they're hand in hand, side by side walking. And there's a picture of somebody on his shirt, but that somebody is not really her, So that was very uncomfortable, I'm sure, because people are probably looking, especially with the camera crew passing through and looking and saying, okay. Yeah. So at this point, he stops now and he says to her, so, I don't have a car. He didn't get to sort a car out in time or something, and that she'll have to take a taxi. And then, but at this point you're like, okay, plans change. You have to take a taxi. Okay, so lead her to the taxi. No, this woman had to go to a section in the airport where I guess you book transportation, to go and book her own taxi. Yeah, pay her own money, sure, ID and everything, pay her own money for a taxi. And he stood outside, like, looking around, like, and I'm like, that's a big red flag there, yeah? And that's a big no-no, because if somebody's coming to see you, I don't care what his situation is, somebody's coming to visit you, and you're picking them up at the airport, yeah? As the man in the relationship, you didn't sort out transportation for her, whether it is that you had your own car, or you are borrowing a car, or you are arranging a taxi before. That's something you do. You arrange a taxi to pick her up. You're going to the airport to pick her up, and then she has to go and pay for her own taxi in a new country where she's coming to visit you. That was so lame. Yeah. That was so lame, and it's obvious that already he's planning on taking this woman for a ride. And I don't know if this was his plan all along, maybe, yeah, or maybe, I don't know if she turned out to be the person who he was expecting, based on the pictures, if this would have changed anything. But already he's taking her for a ride, and she's like, sure, babe, it's okay, babe. At first she's like, he told me he had everything sorted out, but this happens, and she's like, okay, babe, it's fine, I'll take care of it. And at this point, this is where you see Rebecca starting to compromise right away. Yeah, she's compromising her. Okay, I'm gonna say she had standards before, but she's compromising because of the fact that I believe she knows that she's been putting out the wrong image out there. She's been putting on, and somehow she feels that she has to compensate. At the end of the day, she's leading this thing, and she's being the person wooing him now, because she feels she has to compensate for the fact that she's not the person that he, in pictures that I this is just my little, what I've noticed. I could be wrong, but that's the only way you would not have said something. Like, I thought you should have said to him, I thought you had something arranged. You said you were gonna arrange something, babe. Yes, he says he's babe now. You have something arranged. So what's the plan with the taxi? Are you going to arrange a taxi? And why should I be arranging for the taxi? You came to pick me up, and I have to pay for my own taxi. But anyways, I don't know. It's just me. I think that was pretty lame that she had to, the only thing he said to her was, you'll have to take a taxi, and not like, we're gonna take a taxi. It's already been arranged. We're gonna go to a taxi now. Yeah? That to me is a no-no. And I think that at that moment, Rebecca should have said something, and she didn't. And I think it's because of her low self-esteem and the fact that she feels somehow that she needs to prove something to this guy, because all this time she's been trying to prove something that she's not. Anyways, Caesar. Yeah, my friend Caesar. Caesar is 46 years old, and he's dating, or he has been dating online for the past 5 years, a 28-year-old woman, Maria, from the Ukraine. And so we start off with Caesar calling Maria to say, hey babe, what's up? She's like, trying to. The fact is, Maria doesn't want to hear from Caesar, because she's basically told him that, listen, I can't fly to Mexico because there's a war going on in my country at this point. A war that apparently took place years ago, right? Because currently there's no war happening. And she made up that, they were having some unrest, and there's a civil war, and so she can't fly out of the country. And Caesar is like, babe, can you book the flight? Because I did some research online, and I realized that you can actually fly out of the country. It shouldn't be a problem. And she's like, oh, okay. And he's like, okay, what, babe? He's like, do you not want to see me? And she's like, yeah, okay, I'll book the flight later. And he's like, babe, I'm looking forward to seeing you. We're gonna have a good time. It's gonna be perfect. Can't wait to see you. And she's like, yeah, you're really bothering me now, because basically you sent me, what, $4,000 was it? You sent me some thousands of dollars that I had other plans with, and now you're messing with that because you want me to use money out of that to pay for plane fare. Yeah? When I've already spent it or done what I needed to do with it, and you're really annoying me now. So stop asking me about traveling to Mexico. I don't want to see your ass. So basically she's like, yes, I'll book the flight later. So at this point, he comes off the phone, and Caesar is elated. She said she's going to book the flight later. She didn't say there's no confirmation. But he's elated. He's like, yeah, we're going to be seeing each other in Mexico. We're going to Mexico, yeah? Because Caesar can't, he already has his ticket and everything ready for Mexico. And all the bookings, yeah, hotel bookings and everything, and non-refundable tickets at that. So one way or the other, this man has to go to Mexico. So he's excited now, because he's going to be seeing Maria in Mexico. She's going to be booking the ticket, obviously. And so the next thing we see, next scene, he's meeting with his friend. And his friend, I think it's Jermaine or Jeremy. His friend is taking him. He's going. They're talking, and his friend is like, okay, so you're going to Mexico? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to Mexico. We're seeing each other, and they're actually Caesar and his friend are actually going to a ring shop because, Caesar is so excited. He can't wait to see this woman that he's been talking to for the last 5 years. And so he's ready to propose because he's ready to get married to her because they've been talking about marriage. And so he goes to this jewelry shop. His friend is with him. Apparently he's a really good friend and he values his opinion, but only to a certain extent because, of course, Caesar will do what just like any love-struck person, which he is, he's going to do what he wants to do, what he needs to do anyways, regardless of all the red flags and, what his friend has to say. So they go into the ring shop. There's a clerk or a store clerk at the front, and she's like, "Hi, how can I help you today?" And he's like, "Yeah," which is the usual introduction these days on this show. It's like, "Yeah, I'm going to be seeing my fiance who I've been I've never met her before, but we're going to be meeting for the first time. She's from the Ukraine, and I want to propose to her, and I want to get her a ring." So of course, at this point, the lady asks, "Okay, yes, I can help you. What's your budget?" So the friend butts in. He's like, "It's very small, yeah, very small budget because he has no money. He's been sent." It's just so funny. His friend was like, before he could answer, he's like, "It's really small because he has no money. He's been sending all of his money to her every month, so he's broke." So oh, sorry guys. Before in the car, his friend had asked him, "So tell me something. This woman, does she think that you are?" Because he's saying that his friend has been working a modest job as a nail tech, and every month he's been sending money to this woman, and he obviously doesn't have it, but he's sending her money every month. And so he asked Caesar, "Does she think that you have money?" And Caesar is like, "Yeah, she thinks all Americans have money." And it was, at this point, I'm like, "So Caesar, you've been talking to this girl for 5 years, yeah? Does she know you're a nail technician?" Because I'm pretty sure, as any female, if you're dating someone and they say of all things that a man says he's a nail technician, even in the United States of America, you're probably going to do some research, or you'll have some idea to know that, okay, he's probably making this amount of money, yeah? Because it's not like he's an investment banker. He's never said, "I'm an investment banker, I'm a lawyer," etc., etc. So you're telling me that she thinks you just like all other Americans is a rich person, and you've never before, given her a bit of reality that, okay, babe, yeah, I'm making a modest living, but I'm still trying to take care of you, but, I'm really not wealthy. But I think she knows anyways, yeah? And at the end of the day, people assume that persons from other country, whether it's developing country or whatever, are totally clueless, but she knows what she's doing, yeah? And there is no way she's coming to the States to to live with a man. Especially she's a beautiful woman. There are other men she could be dating, and probably definitely is. Yeah, she's just taking Caesar for as much money as she can get from him until he's really tired and he has no more to give. Shop. So after the friend says that, the lady asks him, "What exactly do you have? What's your exact budget?" And he says $200, which is probably the best thing he has said. Yeah. Because after sending her, how much was it? $40,000 over the 5-year period, which I actually worked that out, guys. Yeah, I worked that out. I forgot what I came up with. $40,000 over a 5-year period. Yeah, so he's basically almost been sending her something like 9,000, maybe something like maybe $9,000 per year or something, and that doesn't account for the fact that he's been sending her maybe other money for the other 3 failed trips from before. He's probably sent her, like a dose of cash for those. But I'm assuming this $40,000 over the 5 years is her monthly allowance. But anyways, so yeah, so there's like, okay, so she starts showing him some rings, and he's like, first one he saw is like, oh, this is pretty nice. Yeah, it looks quite convincing. It doesn't, in other words, it, even though it's in the $200 range, it looks quite convincing. Yeah, because you think that a woman like that doesn't know the difference between a $200 ring, right, and 2,000, 4,000, etc., 5,000 and up dollar ring. At the end of the day, you can tell the difference. So, anyways, his friend, at this point, the woman asked to see a picture of her. I'm not sure. I guess she's trying to get a taste of what she would like, we'll assume. So she's like, can I see a picture of her? So he takes out his phone and he shows a picture of Maria. And the woman was like, wow, she is gorgeous or beautiful, one of those words, yeah? And so his friend is like, reality check. He's like, so you think that a gorgeous woman like this, a blonde bombshell, yeah, is only dating you alone? And his friend, and Caesar is like, yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I believe she is. So the friend is like, so you don't think that she's dating anybody else and getting money from other guys? And he's like, no, I trust her. So eventually he walks out of the store with and in fact the store clerk had a little to say. The camera, the producers, she said to the producers that basically she has she's hoping for the best, but she has a strong feeling that she'll be seeing him again. Yeah, in other words, he's gonna be coming back with that $200 ring, which I think it costs exactly $195. He's gonna be coming back with that $195 ring for a refund. Yeah, because you can tell that she ain't new to this, and the fact that the way she dealt with him, you can tell that she's seen situations like this before. Yeah, there are other fools around. So basically, she knows how to. She's a saleswoman and a good saleswoman at that. At one point, he said to her when he said what he did about the fact that he trusts her and everything, and she's like, I like that you're positive. You're a positive guy, and I like that about you. And both of the guys, both Caesar and his friend, were looking at her like, okay, we're not convinced but she was very convincing, yeah. But I guess it's the first time he's hearing that, because everybody else has been like telling him that, boy, you need to run. But this one woman is like, you are a very positive person. I like that about you. She's a good saleswoman. So they're leaving the store, and at this point, another sales person, or maybe he's a supervisor, they're by the table, and they're leaving, and they're like, bye. And the guy was like, the supervisor, that is, or I'm assuming, or the other sales clerk, he was like, wow, which says a lot. Wow, there goes another idiot walking out of the store. Yeah, but anyways, that's their job, and they're there to collect their 10% or 20% of whatever guys like Caesar come there to spend. Darcy is 44 years old, and she's dating a 39-year-old guy from London, from the UK, Tom. Darcy has been talking to Tom on Facebook. I think they met on Facebook. They've been communicating for 4 years. She's known him for 4 years. And she says that, like a teenage girl, while she was going through her rough period and her breakup with Jesse, he's been very supportive, and he's just been there for her, and he's basically the best thing ever, and who she's her good friend, and they're meeting up for drinks and to before she goes off on her trip, and she says that her sister and this friend, they've all had the same situation in common, where they've had they've gone through rough relationships and cried together and all of these things. So they're meeting up, and so yeah, we're around the table. They're around the table, and Darcy's friend is, asking about this new guy, and Darcy's telling her that he's a wonderful guy and she has a good feeling about him, and already she's making wedding plans, and the friend is like, Darcy, you just need to take things slow, yeah. Sister is telling her the same thing, just slow down a bit, yeah, because and they beat a joke that, okay, let's cheers to that, you've met this new guy and you're glowing. Her friend noticed that she's glowing because she seems very happy, and she's like, let's cheers to that, yeah, without anyone saying that you're an alcoholic. So of course they skip to the scene where Jesse basically called her out on the fact that she was drunk and she had a bit too much drink and maybe she had a problem. So anyways, they're talking about Tom, and everybody's like not trusting what Darcy's saying from experience, telling her to take things slow. And at this point Darcy's like, you know what, I'm going to call him, yeah, I'm gonna call him now, because so you guys can see what a wonderful guy he is. Or FaceTimes him, and she's like, hey, what's up, what have you been up to? And he's like, well, I can't really say. So there's this brief pause, Darcy's like, okay. So he's like, all right, he's like, I guess I didn't want to say, but I guess I will. I'm just coming back from visiting my brother in the Grand Canary, and in fact he has like this really nice big boat, and I was thinking that when you get here we could actually go there and spend some time with him and stay on his boat and all of that. So at this point, she's like, it's like score, because right away her friends get to see all of this. So she's like, everybody's quite impressed, and Darcy more so. And she's like, oh wow, that's how you do it. Oh, that's how you do it. My man, that's how you do it. So of course her friend, her good friend in the background starts, I don't know if it's the fact that she heard, oh, we're going to Grand Canary and all of that. And she's like, yeah, he's better looking than Jesse. He's a good looking one. I do you, Tom. And right away it's like, okay, I do you, Tom. So at this point, I guess Tom noticed her, because obviously she was trying to get some attention, and that's how you do it. Classless, yeah. So he's like, okay, let me see. He's like, yeah. So at this point, I think she said to him, so tell me, are you guys gonna get it on, right away? And right as you see each other. And he's like, I don't know, would you? Which, all right, let me just finish what happened. He's like, I don't know, would you? And she's like, I don't know, everybody was kind of taken aback by that question. She was taken aback by that question. I don't know, we have this jealous bitch here, so, I have to be careful. And Darcy was like, yeah, it's okay, and she's like, okay then, well, yes, I would. Yeah, I would. There it is, I would. So he said something like, show me your boobs. So of course, at this point, her friend is like, oh, okay. And Darcy at this point was looking a bit uncomfortable. And so we panned out, and he's like, yeah, he's like, are you okay? Are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. It's all good. And he's like, yes, it is. Yes, it is. So they end the conversation, and yeah, that kind of ended there. Yeah. Now before we go to the next scene, the thing with Darcy is, and I've said this before, Darcy should not be pursuing another relationship until she's gotten some serious counseling for herself. Yeah. Or had a serious chance to reflect. She keeps saying that she's a different woman. She's improved. She's better now. Yeah. She's going to be doing better. And she keeps repeating, I'm a different woman. I'm a different woman. But I don't know if when Darcy says I'm a different woman, she's referring to the Botox, the new Botox in her face. Yeah? Because maybe when she was dating Jesse at the time, she didn't have as much Botox. And her lip injection wasn't as much now, because now this, before she was looking like this. And now she's looking like this. Yeah, and she's obviously had too much fillers like her sister. Yeah, this has been their pastime. So I don't know if when Darcy says I'm a different woman now, that's what she means. Yeah, or a different woman meaning I'm not with that guy anymore. I'm single, so I'm different. Because it's pretty obvious that Darcy has some serious personality issues as well, but she has some serious self-esteem issues. Yeah, and this this is this is showing throughout her life. Yeah, she makes poor choices in men, and she makes poor choices in women, in female friends. Darcy doesn't know the value of a good friendship, or of having someone who respects you and treats you well and who is there for you, whether it be a man or a woman. This friend that she has, this so-called friend, good friend of hers, she needs to kick her to the curb. Yeah, it should have been done a long time ago, because I suspect that this friend, what we just saw her doing, is not new. This is probably the same kind of thing she's done throughout their relationship, however long it has been, and it's not funny. Yeah, I know a lot of persons are looking at him as well and saying, because he asked to see her boobs, which, that was totally disrespectful and uncalled for, and I don't even understand, how a man that you're supposed to be dating, you're planning to go and see, is going to be asking your friend to see her boobs. Now, maybe he misunderstood the whole situation, that everybody's joking around, because as far as I'm concerned, Darcy should have put a stop to this thing right away, as her friend was in the background talking about, I do you, Tom. I don't know if her friend is maybe she has a drinking problem, maybe she was tipsy, but that is no way acceptable. Yeah, I'm not talking to my man, or or my soon to be, or somebody who you just told me that I'm glowing because I'm seeing this new person, and it's very obvious that I'm happy and giddy about this new person, as ridiculous as I may be, right? And you're going to sabotage that, because that's what her friend is. She's a sabotager. Yeah, I'm talking to my man on the phone, and everybody's in, and you're going to be trying to get attention and talking about, I would do you. You're good looking. You're much better looking than the previous guy. I would do you. And then you're going to go on, the guy, then she's going to go on and ask, are you guys going to be doing it right away, when you just, you're basically just talking to this guy for the first time. Yeah, the guys, there's so many red flags, and it's not only for Tom, because he's only in that whole conversation, he did one thing really stupid, but the friend, there are so many red flags, because when he said, would you, yeah, I interpreted it as him throwing the question back at her. Would you, if you were in Darcy's situation, do the same thing? Would you, it's kind of like making conversations, like throwing it back on her without trying to answer the question. Yeah? But then she's going to take it that it means, oh, would you do me, kind of thing, which maybe that's what he means to, because she's like, I would do you. And then she's going to be like, I'm not going to answer because this jealous, and she said bitch, I'm pretty sure I heard bitch. She says this jealous bitch beside me. And yeah, I know bitch is a term that, some women use with each other, and it can be funny in some context, but not when you're going to be like, after everything that is taking place, and how inappropriate the conversation you're having with my guy is, you're going to call me the jealous bitch to the side. And then Darcy's, trying not to be offended, as she later said that she's trying not to look like she's upset or offended by it. You should be looking like you're upset and offended by it, and you should be checking your friend. And when she's talking about you're good looking, I would do you, yeah? You should have checked her before and tell her, listen, hold up. Or just tell him, say, listen, I'll call you back. But that, as I said, this is not happening for the first time, and that friend should not even have been in this scene here, because she should have been checked from the first time she did that, whenever that was ago. So anyways, the next scene, Darcy is packing, and her sister is helping her pack, and they're talking some more, and Darcy's telling her that they had a little bit, she had a little bit of, you know, a situation with Tom where, you know, she was upset with him, you know, because of what happened the night before. She was feeling a bit odd about that, which she should be feeling odd about it. Yeah? And basically, he was upset because he took it that she was trying to tell him that he can't talk to anybody any way he wants to. Well, you know, maybe at this point, she shouldn't be going there because, you know, she's moving way too fast. She's off the mind that they're in a relationship already, and this guy's off the mind that, okay, you know, we've been talking for a while, let's just meet and see. Yeah? And she should be slowing herself down a bit as well, because Darcy is way in relationship territory, and this guy is just like, let's see what happens. Yeah? And so, yeah, the next scene, basically, so, you know, they had a little tiff, and, you know, guys, I tried to repeat this part so many times to try and understand. You know, she said something about apologizing, and I was trying to hear, because it happened so fast. Yeah, she said it so fast, but I'm not sure if she ended up apologizing to him or he apologized to her for what took place, you know, the disagreement they had. But anyways, so next scene is, you know, she's basically, she has her many bags. She calls her daughters downstairs, you know, to say, Mommy's leaving. Everybody, you know, comes down. And, you know, I must say her girls, just like Avery's brother, you know, I'm not even sure, you know, because I don't think this is, you know, I don't think they got their sense of intuition and their intelligence and, you know, their smartness from her. I don't know if maybe it's dad or maybe a bit of exposure to mom, to Darcy's mom, possibly her sister, you know, maybe they developed it, you know, on their own. But I don't think they got their, you know, their smartness from Darcy. But they had a lot of little gems to drop, you know, and they're just saying that, you know, hopefully things will work out and she'll just, you know, realize when it's not, and, you know, when this guy is basically playing her for a fool, and be willing to walk away, yeah? And so, yeah, Darcy, her sister helps her with the bag in this huge, huge vehicle. She has, I think it was a Range Rover. The sister is like, you know, there are too many bags, and she's like, you know, it's fine. You know, it's fine because things are going to go well, and I'm very confident, I'm very hopeful about this. And so she's in the car, you know, grinning from ear to ear, going off to the UK to see her man. And that's all she wants, yeah? She wants to have a happy ending story. And yeah. So guys, that's it for all the couples. And so, yeah, I think I covered everybody. And so, yeah, that's my opinion on what took place on season 3, episode 2. Pack your bags. So, yeah, if you like my review, or if you have anything to add, or you agree with what I said, or there's something you didn't agree with, just comment below, and give me a thumbs up, guys, please, and share and subscribe to my channel, and look out, I'll be doing another review this time next week. And also, I have other things coming up. If you look in my video list, you'll see that I've done a shoe collection of my my simple shoe collection, or I should say my simple high heel collection of some of my high heels that I brought over with me when I relocated to Switzerland. And yeah, so go watch that video as well, and then come back, like, subscribe, share, and comment below, guys. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Tschüss, or auf Wiedersehen. See you later. See you next time.